Hello, hello, and welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni. This is Danny. And for the week of June 30th through July 6th, the sun will be in gate 39 and the earth in gate 38.
Yeah, this is a good one. Very individual is this, and it moves into the cross of individualism, if I'm not mistaken. So this will be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also 4th of July.
It is the fourth. Yep.
Yeah,
This is very fourthy, isn't it? It's very fourthy, isn't it?
yeah,
Yep.
that opposition and provocation. Yeah, that definitely relates.
Yep. And being your own, the struggle to be your own self.
Thank you to everyone who is watching and liking and subscribing. It really helps us out. So let's dive in. Here we can see on our mandala view, we have the sun in gate 39, which is provocation, and it's a root center gate. And then the earth is in gate 38, which is opposition, and it's also a root center gate.
Yeah, this is this movement around the wheel where everything's in the root. 58 came before it, and 54 is going to come right after it. And so this is very much on our splenic side, trying to come to why are we surviving and what extra should we have here. This is the pressure to sort of find that out and then share it and empower and fill our village with it.
Yeah, and I feel like that also really explains this very pressurized feeling. I feel like we always hit like the summer solstice and it's extremes and then it's like this go energy and all this stuff is happening and this is happening and travel and you're going here and meeting this person, helping this thing. And like summer is like all a fire and going and getting in a rush right about now.
It really does seem that way. Yep.
Here we have the sun in gate 39, which is obstruction and the gate of provocation. The value of obstruction is in provoking analysis, assessment, and reevaluation. Gate 39 is a root center gate, part of individual circuitry, so you can think empowerment as your keynote, and it's part of the knowing circuit specifically. Gate 39 links up with gate 55, which is abundance, and the 3955 make up the channel of emoting. Gate 39 is the pressure to provoke the evolving emotional awareness of spirit into revealing itself. This is the energy to persevere through moods and tap into spirit awareness. This is provocation that reveals whose spirit is correct for you.
The spirit awareness here has so much to do with one other or one other group or one other thing, as long as there's one other as part of it. This is where we get a certain amount of deep personalness. 22 wants to hear the words articulated by 12 in the same stream, and it's one to one. And you can almost look at this like two people in a cafe talking and the rest of the world doesn't exist. The provocation worked, the spirit was found, the bubble and the shell goes up, and they start to develop their own consciousness almost as a beast with two backs, a combined partnership. This happens with two close friends too. It's just like, so you're just so in, and now you're the advancing consciousness field. That's part of what the spirit is. The other part of what the provocation to find is, it's the root pressure to say, we're about to start up a process that will be emotionally aware and come clear with motorized energy to manifest a direction that we're going to about to do all of that for the sake of finding love and beauty that can move in a direction towards everyone else having the same. That's what the spirit is looking the most for. It's first, everyone else's as a condition in order for it to have finished and been in that place. Meaning it's no good if it is only for it. It must empower. It's also very emotive, right? And it's part of an emotional wave that will spike those things too. But 55 is looking for that spirit that pushes love in a direction towards beauty. This is part of the Master Keynote series.
Wow,
Yep.
that was really beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a really nice way to hear gate 39 described because I have gate 55 and I don't know, sometimes at 39 I just feel very poked at. So it's nice to hear this really high, beautiful expression of gate 39 because sometimes I just feel like it's, getting me.
Well, in the not self world, it can feel that way. This is the channel of emoting. The process demands that the person become okay with going down into this provocative emoting place. Where am I? What should I do? You know what? I'm not going to do anything. And therein lies the melancholy of this gate. I can't do anything or provoke the right thing. I don't know what to provoke. I'm going to remain silent and pout, basically. That's the sadness here. I can't find the spirit to provoke. Nothing lights up my energy enough to want to provoke it individually for me and my unique expression. How come I can't? Anything to add, Moni?
I don't know. I really don't know because, like I said, 39 just feels like it's poking at me. So I had this kind of like, oh, I don't know, 39 kind of thing. But then you hear it, how you're describing it, and it's like, oh,
Oh, you were reflective within, weren't you? Because you have a 55, don't you?
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that okay. Wow. Yay, Moni. That was for you, apparently.
For me to like understand like the beauty of gate 39.
Well, that, yes, apparently. Folks, in case you didn't know what serendipity was, it looks just like that.
Here we have the Earth in gate 38, which is opposition in the gate of the fighter. This is the ability to persevere individual integrity through opposition to detrimental forces. Gate 38 is a root center gate, part of individual circuitry, so empowerment is the keynote, and it's part of the knowing circuit specifically. Gate 38 links up with gate 28, which is the gate of the great game player, and the 38-28 make up the channel of struggle. Gate 38 is the pressure to discover the value of one's own life. There must be a reason to exist, a purpose, and something to love. This is about elevating the struggle beyond simply surviving. And it's backed by the energy to oppose that's capable of confronting adversity. It's perceived as fiercely independent with a highly focused stubbornness to meet a challenge, even death, head on. This is the determination to persevere and empowerment to discern which individuating struggles have value or not.
Individuating is the key term, and the ability to preserve its individual integrity is really it's the keynote of this whole gate and what it gives to the channel. Now, if you think about it, it's not the awareness of what to struggle for sure, but it is a deep recognition when that struggle is right. So it's got a Geiger counter that's always landing on when it's right or not, like the statement says. This purpose, it speaks so much to what I said about the 39. And these two, in opposition to each other, mean they have a great weight that demands individuation. And it's written all throughout the language. 38 comes out swinging and it says, that's for me. And it has great meaning. And that meaning twangs the spirit. And then the spirit twangs the meaning. Look at these two opposing forces in two awareness centers, the oldest and the newest. They're at the root side of it, so it's energized in this way. And one and the other talk to each other in the various differences between the emotional, abstract side, spirit, and the logical side, purpose. And it's just another this and that. The universe loves its duality. There's always a this and a that. And this is the greatest place where humanity is meant to find its purpose and fill its spirit. It's through this opposition. It's through these two gates. It's through the root pressure out that strikes the awareness centers. These strike it. The awareness centers are waiting to be struck. And so, for whom the bell tolls, baby, that's what this is as it relates to us finding our purpose, filling our spirit, and then driving again. This is also part of the master keynote. There's a master keynote that moves humanity's nine-center direction. And at 38 and 28, that whole channel moving up, the 3 to the 2, through the 14-2 to the 1, and into expression. And this leads our purpose and our spirit to be energized and begin driving our direction towards beauty. If the default setting for humanity is always to begin to drive it, we will always be driving it. And that's what the forces want. We just have to wake up and grab it. This cross rings the bell of all of that. Now I'm just realizing what this is to humanity. I'm like, whoa, this is huge because you're showing me the pretty picture and it's perfect. And you always set it up and it's like, guys, if you're watching, man, this is for you. It's because we love you. Two vessels are like pouring this stuff out. Like and subscribe some more. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, just
there's,
yes.
yeah,
Please. We pray. Please, please.
yeah, there's a lot of love in what we do.
Mechanics. Back to mechanics.
Yeah.
Mechanics of 38. It is individual. It can only know in a pulse. It is part of the knowing circuit, but it's not an awareness. It's a root pressure that creates a stress, and stress moves things. Even a thought can create the stress to move something. And it happens at a time that wants to empower the gate it's looking at. So it's the struggle and the fight to oppose forces that would possibly get in the way of finding purpose. And that's why they call it the fighter. And that's why it's part of the channel of struggle, because to get to your purpose, it's a struggle. It's not easy, or it's not the right purpose. What's that all about? Talk about another duality. Well, anyway, the fighter, as opposed to the provocateur and what they do as stress in the world.
I also had this thought that came through while you were speaking, stress in the direction of individual awareness.
Period. So much better. I mean, it's so easy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm the paragraph below the heading. That's the heading. Let's do that. We're writing a book now.
I mean, basically. Here we have our incarnation crosses for the week. First up, we have the right angle cross of tension, which adds the 21 and 48 to the 39 and 38 we've been discussing. These are people whose energy must move outward to release tension by provoking talent, leadership, purpose, and spirit in others. These are our great button pushers. Then we'll move into the juxtaposition cross of provocation, which adds the 51 and 57 to the 39 and the 38. These are potent yet moody individuals who use shock to provoke others at a deep level. These are people who understand the creative value of their melancholy. And finally, we'll move into the left angle cross of individualism, which also adds the 51 and the 57. And these are mutative forces that shock you with their intuitive knowing and staunch individualism, but are not easily influenced themselves.
Not at all. And the cross name is right. The juxtaposition cross, that getting used to the melancholy, really pay attention and get used to the melancholy. These are 4 individual gates. This whole thing seems to be encompassing, 4 individual gates at its knuckle, that juxtaposition. Think about provoking as it relates to tension. Of course, you're the cross of tension. If you're about to move into provocation, I mean, the whole movement makes sense. Now, we're still in civilization heading towards duality, and we've seen things that keep wrapping up the tension on our way into duality. I think it's trying to wring that out so that when we come into the duality, it makes sense genetically as a motion, especially that the nodes would move through all of this as well, that this motion then becomes, we have to wring out stress. We have to wring out stress. We have to wring out somehow or other, while we're still building, that which would complicate the inside of the family with the thing we built. That's what I keep seeing as we keep seeing these crosses go by. How many crosses away from duality are we? Another 5 or so? We're getting closer. This movement says, we came off the vessel. We're not in a bad place. The tension provokes talent. It provokes responsibility, 21. It provokes, you better stay with the effort. I say that's a pretty good sentiment to provoke, again, with the 21. It really provokes the finding of the purpose within all of that. Basically, keep the mechanics working so we still have streets and sewerage while we're finding our purpose. It seems like all roads lead to match the spirit up with the purpose and have that be empowering to others, such that 21 is a perfect gate to lead into the control of all of this as it relates to part of the cross. It leaves 21 here. We just had that before, but regardless, wicked individualism that has to move through tension. It even says that the individual nature itself is the tension. I mean, that is the tension. Doesn't matter
It's the
what side it's on.
foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, tension would be the foundation of individualism.
Yeah, the 21 and the 48 are secondary. They come next to support the movement and the shake. 21 and the 48 are shaking it up. They're the shifter. One's like, you better stay qualified, and the other is, we want to see talent and we want enthusiasm towards this. We want to identify with depth. So after the depth comes the individualism, comes the spirit, and 51 and 57 are perfect to shock that individual nature that is mutative force that shocks you with their intuitive knowing. I mean, the sentence is phrased as good as can be. Intuitive knowing, by the way, sounds like this. It's like you're talking with someone and suddenly they tell you something you didn't know before. So every time that happens, please recognize, don't let that be a boring, mundane moment. That person pulled something out of the ether from who knows where. Granted, yeah, it's in his experience set, but it's still awareness had to pull it together and spill it out to you. So each time you hear that or do that for someone, recognize that comes from this area of the wheel. I say we're pretty cool. We're awesome little creatures. We just got to pay attention. Not get in a fight with everyone over all of this. That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying it all that way, because this is provocative.
Yeah, I mean, the 39 and the 38, you have provocation and fightiness. Like, it makes sense. Like, those are also things that happen at like 4th of July parties, right? Because this is the time of the 4th of July, which is kind of funny because it's the 39, 38, and the 51 and the 57. So you have provocation, opposition, shock, and penetration.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I just think that's super funny. Oh, and we'll link up because we did a holiday video for the 4th of July of human design and the 4th of July. So I'll link that up
It
in
was a
the
good one,
description
wasn't
box.
it?
Yeah, that was really good. So check that video out after this one if you're interested in it, because I find it just fascinating how human design lines up with holidays and how you could look at this energy. It makes perfect sense. And the opposite of the 4th of July, when it's the 38 and the 39, that's New Year's. And that are two
Right.
big holidays with fireworks and kind of intense, provoky,
Lots
fighty
going on.
energy, and
Yep.
drive safely kind of stuff, and don't drink too much. That those are mirrors on the wheel.
Yep.
Nerdery. The hexagrams for the week for the sun in gate 39, which is provocation, or in my I Ching book, it's limping, Limping, and the trigrams are water over mountain. The image reads, above the mountain there is water, limping. A noble one turns itself around to renew his character. The path ahead is hard and dangerous, and it is time to find another way. The clouds that rise above the mountain become the stream flowing down it. It changes course lightly and easily, naturally finding a path of least resistance, always in motion. Embodying the qualities of mountain and stream, the noble one will join the firmness of his inner resolve with fluid commitment, renewing his strength of character by turning his whole self around.
Mountain and stream, they just go together. And this just says the provocation is so natural. And even the thing looks a little bit wavy with its open and yang. I know there's only two yang in there, but they're placed in such a way that it looks like it's floating on a breeze almost. But the provocation is something that is supposed to flow. There can be no exception, and it won't stop.
It's interesting too with this reading where it's a noble one turns himself around to renew his character. So this idea, the path is hard and dangerous, and it is time to find another way. And then the last line is the noble one will join the firmness of his inner resolves with fluid commitment, renewing his strength of character by turning his whole self around. That's interesting to me, right? Because it's like you're going, and you're like, hey, this is not the way. And like going a different way because like realizing you need to change course because you can't just keep going in the same way for whatever reason.
It sounds like an awareness to me. Sounds like something someone gets clear on over time. Sounds like a process that might move through a wave. Right?
No, it does. It totally does. Because you're like, no, I want to go this way. And then you're like, I don't know if it's the right way to go. You're like, but I want to go this way. And it's like, I don't know if it's the right way to go. And you kind of got to go the ups and downs before you're like,
Well, the
cool,
other name for
we got to.
provocation is obstruction, right?
Mm-hmm.
To obstruct all of that. I don't know. We're obstructing because that's what you're describing. I don't know. That's the obstruction. I don't know. And why wouldn't it be? Individual stuff is just uniquely, I don't know. Even generators are stuck with a third option. I don't know. Like hard.
Until
Yeah.
the pulse comes through and then there's the knowing.
Which usually translates to no for a generator, just FYI. Just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, for generators, it's easier because you have that like magic 8-ballness to you of like, yep, nope, ask again later kind of thing.
Like one of those machines at the carnival.
Uh-huh.
Nope, yep, nope, ask again later.
Yeah, but so often it's like if you're not into something or if you're trying to convince yourself of something, it's probably not a good idea.
That's just common sense. Mom could tell you.
Mm-hmm. So next up, we have the Earth in gate 38, which is opposition. In my I Ching book, it reads as opposing, and the trigrams are fire over lake. The image reads fire above, lake below, opposing. A noble one both harmonizes and separates. The elements of this situation are fire and water. You can't blend them together into a compromise, but kept safely apart, they create harmony. The sun sparkles on the lake. The light of awareness shines on the inner currents of emotion. A noble one lives with opposition, simply by understanding what harmonizes and what is to be held apart.
So this is like a version that is more binary, fire and water, on and off. We've got them both. This is more splenic. Splenic is you get a hit, it's on, it's off, you know. And on the other side, the provocation spoke much more of a process. It's the language is incredible. It's still hard to pull it all in sometimes, but it really is incredible. The fire over the lake is the meaning of opposition, and even the fire keeper shall struggle to make sure he stays hydrated while he keeps the fire going, and that the whole surrounding is good. I imagine he fishes in the lake too.
I really love how this is described, of the sense of opposing, of like everything has its place and it's better that way. Like not everything is supposed to be mixed, because you'll lose the best qualities of both and end up with like a mush of nothing. If you mix fire and water, you'll have steam and no fire, and then the steam is dissolves. Like if you mix things together that aren't meant to be mixed, it like loses it completely. You know, it's like putting a battery in the wrong way. It's just not supposed to do that. But kept safely apart, they create harmony. The sun sparkles on the lake. The light of awareness shines on the inner current of emotion. And I have like an image of like a yin yang. They're perfect because they are in opposition to one another, yet perfectly balanced. There's a perfect harmony there because everything is separate in its own place. And there's a real beauty to that.
Earth and sun. The fighter meets the provocateur, the obstructionist. It's funny how obstruction leads to more awareness. It creates a little bit of friction and tension in this case.
Well, it's
Anyways,
like,
you need tension for everything. You know, there's tension in everything. Move your muscles, to move your fingers. You got to create tension. So it's everywhere.
yeah, well, I mean, gravity.
Yep. Yeah.
Like,
Tension.
like in the most basic sense, like if we didn't have gravity and like everything's a mush or everything's floating away, like you need something to push up against, because if you don't have something to push up against, it gets really boring. Or like even astronauts, when astronauts go up into outer space, because they don't have gravity, they lose like tons and tons of bone density, and
Bone density and all
they have to
kinds of
like
stuff.
work out and stuff. Yeah, so it's just like
They got
we
to go
have
easy.
of this balance of a perfect tension that exists upon us, and a tension that gets us going, excited to try something new, and to find, you know, to provoke that spirit and to fight for what's worth fighting for. Of like, that's a really cool, it's cool that that's like programmed into the system, and it makes sense when we dive into it and explore it like this.
Yeah, and I love that it's into the Master Keynote series. This beautiful little, it looks like an anchor when you draw it out as a picture. It looks like a smile with a nice long nose as well, a little bit, but it feels like an anchor when you draw it out in the body graph.
I mean, I already wrote a note down for a future presentation, so
Oh,
you said that, I was like, I've never heard of this, but now we're going to do a
it's so
presentation.
good. It explains everything. It explains what the heck we're doing here. If you know what, when you look at it enough, it eases up the tension of the open head center. This is totally aside from what we're reading, but it does. It eases up the tension of the open head center that's always trying to translate existence. It says, hey, it doesn't matter what you don't translate, because the struggle and the fight are more important.
Well, stay tuned for a future episode when we're going to deep dive this after I learn what Danny's talking about, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yay.
Yay. So, tying it all together for the week for our viewers, what can they play with? What can our viewers and our audience play with and see with the Sun in 39 and the Earth in Gate 38? How can they see it? What can they do with it?
I'm just perpetually smiling right now. Yeah, I can't help it. This whole thing has been so delightful. They can know that this is what it's all about. This is a week to be like, this is what it's all about. You know what? You'll put your finger on something, and that'll be something that you'll start looking at, concentrating on doing or whatever, or it'll start fitting into a puzzle piece that you needed in order for it all to sort of make a type of sense. You're ringing that bell this week. So, practical things, I'm not sure. This isn't necessarily the most practical on certain fronts. I would say aim high, and hopefully that means something to you, you know, because I know sort of what it means to me. It's just now's the time to ring the bell of that which you've been afraid to ring in the past, and or that which occurs to you that you've always sort of wanted to. Yeah, I want to see big things. Think big, America. Think big. I need our manifestors to be big. Go be big. You know what I mean? I need some more wake. Make some more waves. You know, right? That's great. And so, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the Earth in gate 38, so being grounded in what's worth fighting for at this individual level of like, what gets you excited, what makes you like that, like, I have a dream, that root adrenaline, individual pressure of what's
Yeah,
worth fighting for.
yes.
With the sun in gate 39, it's looking for that spirit to provoke. So being grounded in what's worth fighting for, so it can shine the light of provoking individual spirit.
Provoking and obstruction are the words that end up being the actions, but don't forget the actions were written to essentially a not self world. Let's take this into a world where 10 generations later, and Shazam, every child for the last 10 generations have totally raised in their design. Everyone's on board. By the way, there's world harmony and peace everywhere universally, and it's easy. So
Yay.
that part too, yeah, that too, because of this. And so put yourself there, and it wouldn't read like this anymore, quite the same. This would be held in archive to remember, right? Gate 33 and 13, but it would just read as, I love pushing for this thing. Oh, I love receiving your push for that. Oh, let's empower everyone else now again. Oh, well, I'm sad because I don't know what the push is. Yeah, sometimes our push doesn't always line up, and I'm sad too. I guess we're both sad. Okay. And I guess it would be boring a little bit, so I hope there's some strife, but I mean, that it would work something along those lines. It would be like a more recognized, easy way into it with still the individual, unique human way. I don't have to worry about there being no strife whatsoever between two unique individuals. There will always be attention. So we don't have to worry about that part. There is a purpose and a struggle worth fighting for. There is a soul mate in yourself and out there in the world in others that is worth experiencing the essence of the spirit for. These two gates are the gates. Look at them like the hammers that ring the bells for the cries of the Valkyries. They ring the bell and start the process. Think big, dream. I don't know what this means to you, but I know I'm saying something super meaningful. You know what it means to you. Think big. Pick up the hammer, ring the bell. Yeah, spirit and purpose are waiting. They're literally waiting to fall on you and your family and every last thing. Things can come so clear. This is the way of the pulse. If you do it, you stand the best chance ever of receiving the unique, mutative, individual pulse, which is your karmic destiny on this planet, all of ours, to serve this unique individual way. Cherry on top.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, Danny. Well,
Yeah, I felt it too. I felt cherry on toppy.
it really did. Well, thank you, Danny. Thank you to our audience. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends. Let's build this human design community of nerds and scholars.
And great ass people and fun stuff and yep, and knowing.
Absolutely. And we will catch you next week for another transit.
Till then, love you, everyone.